Oh, well, hello. Mr. Pickles joins us right away. Hello, cat. He just got some catnip, and he's up on the table. You don't belong there. Not amongst the harps. All right, let's get this started. Do some playing. That's what it's all about. As of late, I've been going live on Saturdays because I just haven't had the time to get around to it on Friday. But this Friday, it may be late, but we're live. So how is y'all doing? He says, when did you first learn the jaw harp? I first began to learn the jaw harp a little over 2 years ago. And I started, let me see if I can find my first harp. I started because I had a hernia at work and had to take like 2 months off. And I ended up buying a Hobby Lobby mouth harp, which is the same thing as a Snoopy. They're horrible. But I was addicted almost immediately. And that's the story of how this obsession got started. Hey, Joanne, how are you doing? We'll be doing some playing on the harp from this build from today. If you tuned in and seen the live upload of the build I was doing and the ramble, this is the harp from it. It's in G sharp, and I did it different than the old harps. The old harps I did with a baked on finish, like a cast iron skillet. This is all done with Coca-Cola. So I figure in the future, if people buy harps from me and eventually the oxide is going to start to wear off, and what they can do is just soak it in Coke overnight, buff it off real good with a napkin, and you're good to go. And a lot of harps don't come with a coating. I just feel that since I'm not able to work with stainless steel at this time, I feel that there could be some type of rust protection. And speaking of the fact, I did buy some stainless steel today, but I didn't quite use it yet. He says, let's all have a harp jam. Yes, let's all have a harp jam. What's everybody playing? I'm playing one of mine and going to be playing a Monarch. Oh, I'm doing good. How are you doing? Just give a quick shout out. What harps are y'all's favorite? He says they have a Blackfire and A3. Yeah, that's a good one, that higher up there, Blackfire. And I've been getting into, blah, blah, blah. I'll have another sip of tea here. I've been getting more and more into the stiff-reeded harps, and especially the higher up ones, because I've been attempting to do true melodic style play, like the open closed style of play. I haven't quite got it yet, but oh yeah, those little Merchunga are pretty melodious, but I haven't quite been able to do the true open closed style of Norwegian play. If you look up Vladimir Markov, he does it very, very well. And that's why my harp building as of late, it used to be all mid-ranges and basses. And I've moved off. Somebody says, do you have experience with the Wave by Glaserin? Yes. In fact, if you go to my page, I have a review of it that I just posted today. I'm trying to get more and more reviews up, especially the Glaserin, because I carry the full Glaserin line. But this isn't a commercial. This is the Glaserin Wave. It's a little bit clicky. And I've been playing my stiff-reeded harp, so I'm biting down a little bit extra hard. I don't like the way that one plays. Let's see here. There's one in there of the shipment I just got that I did not like the way it played, but most of them play pretty decent. Especially for a cheaper harp, they're the most affordable. The most affordable Glaserin, and I'm trying to read. Mine's Vietnamese main, but it's not a Dan Moy. Oh, I know which ones you're talking about. Some of them look like guitars and stuff, and somebody said I could fix my computer to watch you. Oh, awesome. Going back to the Glaserin Wave, it's like at the low end of the Glaserin harp, so it's still pretty decent. It's not very loud, but a lot of harps down in that price range are. We'll just play some of the Glazern right around there. I'll get these mixed in one. And like in the same, somebody says, do you know what it's tuned in? The Glazern aren't tuned. He focuses more on having a good spectrum and a good sounding harp. I do get occasionally in full tune sets of Glazern harps, and sometimes harps will land exactly on a tuning. I could probably raise to the nearest note if somebody wanted me to tune one of their Glazern, but it would have to be raised and only to the nearest note. Here is a Lighthouse. They're just as cheap as the Wave, but I like them a little bit better. They're bassy. And I'm just doing this run through real quick for somebody. There's the Wave and other ones down there. Like a cheaper Glazern harp, a little bit more expensive than those, is like the Pilot. Pilot's not as loud, but it really moves fast. And then the Ascetic, somebody says, you got the same one, but how do you polish it? I haven't polished this at all. I just, oh, you're asking what I do. When I get finished playing a harp, I wipe it off, and then I put coconut oil, just plain cooking coconut oil to oil it. And also another cheaper, these are coming up in price range, but another one of the cheaper Glazern harps are the Ascetic. I think of it kind of like the Star's little brother. It plays kind of like a Star, not quite as well, but a lot cheaper. Yeah, the Ascetic play really well. And as you get into the more expensive Glazern harps, they all start to play really well in their own shape. Here's like the Star. And some of the Glazern, if you were to take a trip for 3 months with only one jaw harp, what would it be? That is a dang good question. I don't exactly know. I know. It'd be 2 harps with cases. I don't particularly care for this case, for this one as much, because it doesn't protect it as much, but like, say, oh, I forgot I got the Babayev in. I'm just going to narrow it down to 3 one choices. Maxeyev. Maxeyev are very nice. The Niega Oleg, I'm going to put these, all the ones I need to oil off to the side. The Niega Oleg, especially the mid-range ones that look like this. They have a K on the front of them. They all come with cases now. Sergei Davidiuk makes all his cases. And this is a very loud harp. Very gnarly. And the other one is, of course, I just got these in this week. I kept 2 of them for myself. Kind of selfish, but as the Babayev Mun harp. And they have wicked looking triggers on them. Look at this. The recurve on that. And I figured out why he can get this much recurve. If you normally take a trigger and recurve it that much inward, it won't play well in the outward stroke, which you shouldn't. That's a whole other debate, inward and outward. But you can do a wicked recurve like this because he has the majority of the weight is still centered above his knee bend. Look at that. He's got all this back here, but it's still pretty much centered over his knee bend, and they are fantastic. And the gaps on them are pretty dang near invisible, so even oil, this coconut oil, which is room temperature, so it solidifies, will cause the reed not to move. And it's still hanging up. Yeah, them gaps are, look at it, holding it up to the camera. You can't even see them. Most gaps on harps. We'll just take a star, see if we can see through a star. Yeah, you can see light through the star, but the Baba Yevs, you can't really even see light through them until you get it really up close. Trying to get that oil out, though. Oh, you put much into this. You deserve more. I'm getting, I think, everything I deserve. The channel is exploding right now. Somebody says, just let me say you aren't making real blah, blah, blah. I didn't catch all that. But I really, really enjoyed the way that the channel is going. We're at, yesterday we was up past 500,000 minutes of watch time. Whole mess of people have wasted their time watching me. That is awesome. Well, thank you for appreciating them. I appreciate all of y'all who watch them. Thank you so much. People are like complimenting me like crazy on here. I'm really not that cool or that nice of a guy, but I appreciate all your compliments because I'm just doing what I love. I love playing the harp, and I love being able to have a channel and connect with other people, especially now that now that we can do live stuff on YouTube. I can connect with other harpists. It's just absolutely amazing to just have a channel, and absolutely amazing to have all of you. I'm not that smart of a dude, but everybody just keeps tuning in to watch. Somebody said, would you ever want to invite people into the live stream and have us all play at once? I think that would be really fun, but I don't know if there's a way to do that. But if there is, someday in the future, I will. Also, I'll just throw this out there. If you want to be on one of my videos, if you can get me, send me a video and I'm able to download it to my computer and upload it to my editing platform, which is Final Cut Pro 10. If you want to send me a video of you talking about your harp, or especially of you playing the harp, I'll put it as the outro instead of the Bedport Harpery and the little melody. I'll put one of y'all as the outro. And I think that would be cool if, you know, every once in a while I could get some, like a guest player to, you know, do the outro and say whatever catchphrase or whatever they want to say, and then just play out the rest of it. That would be awesome. So if you have a way to send me like a memory card with your stuff on it, or if there's a way you could get me the video so I could download it, absolutely you can be on my video. Somebody says, so is having a tuned harp better or worse than a non-tuned one? I assume there are pros and cons, but I've never used it. Okay, that is a very good question. You can have tuned harps. Let's see if I can find one. Tuned harp that doesn't play well. Hold on. Pretty much all the tuned harps that I have that don't play well, I got rid of. But yes, you can have a harp that's tuned to a note. All the tuning is the open tone. Like this is the one I made today is G sharp. With playing an open tone with my tongue in the center, I am landing on a G sharp at 440 hertz. You can do it at 432 or whatever, and that's the scale what C is tuned to, or A or something like that. But anyways, you can have a harp that's centered right on that note, but not have a good spectrum and not play well and not sound well. As of the same token, you can have a harp that's not tuned like many of the Glasner are, that have a real big spectrum. They have good sound. They're good to play, but they're not centered on one note. Now, the way I tune my harp is I make one and I know about what lengths produce what notes. And then when I get done, I play it open tone. And whatever note I'm below and I want to end up being close to a note, I don't want to take it very far, I'll start to remove metal off the end just a little bit, and that will raise me to that tone. Now, I think in removing metal and adding weight, you in some way dampen the spectrum a little bit, because the proportional taper of the reed, somebody says, I believe in you. The proportional taper of the reed needs to be proportional to how much weight we have up here, which is proportional. It's all proportional. I don't even know formulas or anything, but I've just figured out what proportions work. And once you go adding weight or taking away weight, you start to dampen the spectrum. You start to take away from the fire of the harp. And so, yes, you can have an untuned harp, because even before I tuned this played pretty well. I did have to do some minor adjustment of the arms in the third plane. But yes, just because a harp is tuned doesn't mean it's a good harp. And just because a harp is untuned does not mean it's a good harp. And in fact, I think if you were to not tune it, if you had to take it very far, you would be better off leaving the harp untuned than tuning it. And that is probably some information that would be better left to somebody who's more of an expert on that. I'm not an expert. I'm just a dude who's really, really enthusiastic and likes caffeine and harps. Probably scoot it back. This harp is pretty loud. It'll distort it a little bit. Hey! Let's get that back a little bit. When I get up into that register with this harp, it really, really screams. And it's probably going to get louder over time. The spring steel I use is pretty dang tough now, so it seems like around 3 hours it starts. 3 hours of play, it starts to really break in. And she is pretty loud. I'm gonna scoot that back again. Could you let me know, is this distorting the mic? Because this harp I made today, well, it's not as like musical as a Babayev. It is the loudest harp in my collection. I'm gonna scoot my microphone back a little bit more. Let me know if it's distorting it, because I know when I get at a normal range, it will distort it. Okay, he says sounds perfect, awesome. Because yeah, loud harps will begin to fuzz up the microphone a little bit, and especially if you're listening to this with headphones on. It says just started lightheaded, just practicing inward plucking. It's a bit tough. Yeah, you will get better tones and your harps are going to last longer with inward plucking, and especially if you have a melodic harp like this one I just made or Babayev, and I'm not in the same league as Babayev yet, but someday I'll be that good. Or the Litvinovs, you don't want to really pluck them outward. The fundamentals, oh, hello, Mr. Pickbees, up here on my lap now, and I'm dried out, and that hillbilly breathing style, that short of breaths really kind of starts to hyperventilate me, and I become stupid. Anyways, as for outward plucking, if you outward pluck on a harp over time, you will begin to deform it. I'm trying to find my antique one. So this is what outward plucking, this is a 100-year-old harp. Outward plucking over time does to the reed. It creates and it bows it in front of there, which misaligns it. A reed needs to make waves along with the deck. It needs to be the central area where the reed is relaxed, needs to be dead even with the middle. You don't want it up like this because then you're making these waves. A harp reed doesn't go like this. It goes like this, like waves. And you want them waves centered on your deck. Kind of like if you were to look at a wave of a sound wave, there's a center point and then it's if we're offset of the reed and we're going up like this, we're not making pure sound. So somebody says the solder in the 90-degree part of the harp broke off. Is it a big deal? No, it will raise the tone and your harp's no longer tuned. You might be able to raise it to the next note or just leave it. I think my Chancellor, the solder broke off there. Whenever I make harps, I don't put solder on them. I like them unsoldered. And I'm really excited about this harp. This is the second harp I've made like this. One was a G, one was a G sharp. And they're a lot better. What to do if it hits the sides? Oh, that means you're either biting down too much or your technique isn't true. But I'm really excited about these harps because all my harps in the past, they started off really bad and then they got better and better. And I think these new harps, the one I was just playing, really balances out. They're really loud and they're starting to get pretty decently musical. And I set them up so that I can play them really fast because I want a harp that's not only loud and has a good spectrum, I want to be able to hammer it. And that isn't actually true. If you have, it doesn't matter whether the reed's crimped on the front or the reed's crimped on the back. I don't know how I can demonstrate this. It's still putting the same stress on the reed because it's crimped. The reed is being held here. It doesn't matter if it's held on front or held on back. It's still going to vibrate the same whether you're holding it on the front of the harp or holding it in the back. A good crimp is never going to fail. And you're putting the same stress. Like if you grab a hold of this and you pull and it's outward, you're putting stress here and here. Or if it's crimped on the backside and you're putting stress on it, it's putting there and there. So it doesn't actually matter what as far as which side it is, depending on plucking it inward and outward. It really doesn't matter. And we'll talk about the fundamental ways that a reed flexes. When plucked outward, when you pluck it outward, it's kind of like a spring. We have this little bit of spring here, and then the reed vibrates in nice waves like this. When you pluck it inward, it flexes the reed like this, and the reed vibrates like this. That's why you get not as pure as a tone when plucking it outward. Somebody says, oh, yes, the yawning. Yes, absolutely. If you want to play down deep in the throat, that I think maybe it's called the glottis. Opening that up like when you yawn is a really good way to get down playing in the throat, and that's going to give you that lower tone. And if you train yourself, you can just do it on command. But you'll notice you can't really be able to breathe when you're playing down in the throat like that. So it's good to take a breath and sneak in. I like to sneak in a couple breaths. And he says, the snoring technique. Oh, yeah. My nose has been broken. My snoring, I can snore inward and outward. And just practice doing it. It helps if you're kind of like phlegmy. I think that's kind of like how they speak German, that in the back of the and And I was doing a variation of that earlier this week. I didn't catch it on video, but of just like giving short puffs of air like you're laughing. Just giving short puffs of air. Now, if you do this, take a break every once in a while. You don't want to pass out because it is, I think, technically hyperventilating you. Oh, he's talking about the way that reeds flex. Now, if you're plucking outward, it kind of builds up like a spring and goes, whoa, we get good waves across there. When we pluck inward, we're compressing the spring in a way it doesn't want to be. It's okay with when the reed goes back and forth like this, but when you pluck inward, it's compressing it like this. It doesn't like to be compressed like this. So instead of getting those smooth waves all across the deck, you get kind of a off-kilter type of vibration. And the reason it causes harps to fail a lot more quickly than inward plucking is, hold on, just read a comment, is when you're plucking outward, it's like, you know, pushing in on a spring that's designed to be pushed in on. Here, we're taking that same spring, and instead of, you know, pulling it back, letting it load, we're over compressing it. See what happens here? When I push down on this, now I'm squeezing it. It kind of more loads it. Just listen to the raw tone. From an inward pluck, this isn't on my mouth. Can you hear it? On inward, outward, hear that woo. Inward, outward. It's because it's vibrating off kilter. And we're putting stress right here on, this is what's called the knee bend. We're overstressing it. It doesn't want to go inward like that. It likes to swing like that, but it doesn't like to be overcompressed inward. We're putting a lot of stress there, and we're also putting a lot of stress down here. I had a customer get a hold of me. He broke several harps in a row, and one was a Pavel Pokin. I'm like, a Pavel Pokin? It's a cheap harp. It's an affordable harp, but they're not easy to break. It was because he was plucking inward a lot really hard and over compressing that, breaking them here, breaking them there. So yeah, over time, your inward plucking, you're going to be better off. But outward plucking is a lot of fun, and it does have its place in music. If you want to see somebody who is a fantastic harp player, who plucks inward and outward, and also you see a lot of videos, especially his last video, Aaron Salagi. His last video, I think he plucked pretty much exclusively outward on that. And he's a fantastic, probably the best rhythmic player I've ever seen. And I've never seen him in real life or met him, which someday I do want to meet Aaron Salagi because he's a fantastic player. But you see him doing a lot of outward play. Outward play is a totally legit style of play. And it's kind of like almost like muting a guitar. It's gnarly. I love outward play as well, but it is harder on your reeds. I do mostly inward. Really? Word? Is that Porky? Is that what did you just say what I think you said? Because if you did, that's really gnarly. But yes, outward plucking. A lot of people play outward. It's a totally legit style, and it really is fun. I love playing my Salagi Chancellor outward, double finger. And it was tuned to a D. I got one from Mark. Sometimes you can get a hold of Mark, and he'll hand pick you out one that's tuned, because most Chancellors aren't tuned, but this one was. And the solder, a little bit of the solder broke off the knee bend, but it's still, I think I like it even more now that the solder's off. I'm plugging outward and then inward. Where can you buy a Pavel Pokin? You can find them about anywhere on the internet. Also, Mark Poss from Mouth Music has them with cases. In the future, I'm going to have some Pavels as well, pretty affordably. Because, man, in the like $10 to $20 price range, like with a case, they're pretty hard to beat. There's not much other than toys down there, and it's hard to even come close to that. Well, hello, Pickby. Mr. Pickles is up here. Hello. Wise cat, you're going to get fur all over my nicely oiled harps. And all this talking is drying me out. Yeah, I played this Pavlopoken. The first time I went to Oregon, I actually took the Pavlopoken with me. I only had 3 real harps besides my Snoopy or Hobby Lobby harp. I had the Chancellor, I had the Pavlopoken, I had a Blackfire and E, and I played them harps all over. And it was when I was first starting out because I wasn't very good. It was right right after I started shooting some YouTube videos. Actually, you can see a video from that where I walked out in the forest outside of the treehouse lounge I was at, and can't remember what it's called, but yeah, just me out in the middle of the woods, zoning out, playing this Pavlopoken. And that's just where it's at. You don't have to have an expensive $100 and some Munn harp or $200 Yakutian harp to have an excellent time playing the harp, because I have beaten the heck out of this Pavlopoken. This is a cheap harp. Because ultimately, it isn't the harp you're playing. It's you and the harp that's playing. So you're the most important part of the puzzle. Yes, the player does give the harp life, and as I always say, it's like doing a dance. It takes 2 people to do a dance. You can't be doing 2 separate things when 2 people are dancing. You have to be doing them together. So when you're working with the harp, great things are going to happen. Get back to this Chancellor. I'm going to do some outward playing because I kind of ripped on the outward playing for a while. Somebody just got the first haircut in 2 years. Oh, congratulations, man. You're going to have to get used to not feeling that hair on your face. When I was going to school, when I was going to vocational school, and after I had my senior pictures taken when I was in high school, I let my hair grow out for the full year, and it got down to about here. I hippied out for a while when I was in college. But yeah, I really liked the way the hair felt on my face. Now, it didn't attract a whole bunch of girls, I don't think, having my hair long, but I wasn't as good at sporting it. I was just committed to the fact that I'm not going to get a haircut. I'm not even going to get it trimmed. And now I just keep my hair short because it's easier to manage. I got mad calyx that come up on the back of my hair, and I was hanging out with my son, and who was just born 3 weeks ago, and he's starting to get calyx flipping up on the back of his little red head. And I'm like, yes, you're going to have a lot of fun fighting them calyx, because I can only wear my hair really short or really long. So oh, yeah. You said you just watched some of Aaron Salagi's videos. Yeah, he has fantastic rhythmic style, and that's what I was just trying to imitate there, because sometimes he'll overblow the harp. I'm not very good at doing it, and he'll overblow it, and it sounds fantastic. And I can't play like that. Not yet, but someday maybe I'll possess that type of skill. Play a little Munn hop here. I'm starting to run out of water. How long we've been? Oh, we've been on 34 minutes. We're not doing too bad. This is a musical little harp. Utai Olena. Yes, the Olena is very, very cool. I've actually been doing one thing that I've seen her do, planking and playing the harp as part of my workout. And yes, I do love all of Olena's videos. But on Facebook, I've noticed that I no longer comment on her videos because people tag me in it multiple times per day, message me that same video of her playing and screaming like a horse multiple times per day. So if you know me on Facebook and you tag me in that video, I don't answer. That's why, because I get tagged in it. One day I got tagged in it like 10 times. What time is it for me? I think it's 11 or 12 something. What time is it where you're at? I can't access my clock on here. I'm in Kansas. Yeah, 11:20. That sounds about right. Yep, then we're 11:20 here. And this little Mun harp by Babiev is absolutely fantastic. But I've found that same quality in some very small Merchungas. Sometimes they're not quite as loud, but yeah. And Merchungas are kind of like a hit and miss thing. You'll get 4 or 5 Merchungas that play good to mediocre, sometimes really good, and then you'll sometimes run across a Merchunga that plays absolutely fantastic. Aunt Joanne knows what I'm talking about. And now I have a better appreciation for small harps. I might give another go on the tiniest harp in my collection. This was a gift from Neptune Chapota. This little teeny Merchunga. And it is tiny. I don't have giant hands. I am about 5'11", if I'm standing on my tiptoes. And this thing is a tiny little harp. It's about as wide as my pointer finger. See if I can wield it. It's not horribly loud. Now I'm going to get down here. I'm going to crouch, give you some bad posture. Very, very melodious little thing. Tiniest trigger in my collection. We'll go back to this Manahapa. Oh, what happened to harps on the wall? I ended up moving, and I'm in a much bigger house now. I got a nicer shop, and we got multiple rooms. You know, we have one baby right now. If we have another baby, we got room for them. And I'm no longer out in a garage. So I put up this pegboard, and I've been working, and I'm just going to upset the microphone. And I've been working on this artwork here, and there's harps everywhere. Look over here, there's a snail I'm working on with a harp for a head. There's a picture of the first harp I ever built. There's mountains and all sorts of stuff, and harps that look like dinosaurs. All sorts of stuff. A Mun harp growing on a vine, a Manahapa. All sorts of stuff, and I've been doing that with permanent markers because they're solving in permanent markers, so I can start blending it together like it's paint. And eventually, I've got a whole bunch of tool hooks that I'm going to put tool hooks on the wall, and the harps are eventually going to hang there. So I think that we're going to go back. We're going to eventually in the future, probably the next year or two, we're going to have harps hang all over the wall and gnarly art, because one thing I want for the channel is I want a lot of contrast in my background because it makes me pop out more as a person. Yeah, it is a snail with a harp for a head. And if you look, I don't know what I called it. I'm stupid. If you look, the eyes for it, one of the eyes is actually the trigger for the harp, and the other eye is part of the deck. And I made it look skeletonized. And I used to do a lot of art when I was in high school, and then I got out of doing art. And I've finally kind of touched base back on doing it. But it's hard to divide up all my time between a full-time job, baby, making harps, selling harps, YouTube channel. So yeah, it's having a baby has definitely taught me really good time management skill. Like, even if I use the bathroom, I'm going to do it efficiently, and we ain't going to waste no time because there's better things to do during the day. Let me go back to playing my harp here. And then we're probably going to wrap it up. We're at 40 minutes. I'm starting to go a little bit hoarse. All this hillbilly breathing and all this breathing patterns for the last 40 minutes, especially when I went into the solo on this, it really dried out the back of my throat as we're breathing quite a bit fast. And I'm excited to be making harps like this, and maybe one day I can quit doing heating and air and I can be full-time on YouTube, full-time building harps, full-time selling harps. I plan on looking up. I've got good connections for harps and ordering hundreds and hundreds of harps. What I want to do is I want to go to all the local music festivals for at least a couple states around here and try selling harps and spreading the word. And, you know, I think music festivals are going to be a good atmosphere for people who are open to new instruments and open to gnarliness, especially if it's, you know, some type of hippie jam or folk festival. Bluegrass festival, I plan on going to Winfield. Everybody who I show this to around here is like, are you going to Winfield? Are you taking that to Winfield? I'm like, I've never been to Winfield, but I will definitely try. Because the harps I'm making, I'm really a lot more comfortable with playing them and how they play. I'm making more harps, and people ask me, like several people are on my queue, on my list of harps to make. I'll make a super bass, I'll make a really deep bass. Well, it's hard for me to do. Like here's an A sharp one. And I'm comfortable going down to like an A1, but below that, I really haven't ever played like a super deep bass harp that I really like. So it's hard for me to put the passion and energy it takes to make a harp into making a bass harp, because I really fundamentally don't, as of this time, I really don't enjoy playing super deep bass harps, so I'm not good at making them, because I become good at making whatever harp I'm playing at the time. Now that I'm trying more melodic, so my melodic styles are getting better. But yeah, how can I order a harp from you, and how much do you usually charge? Well, all my new harps and like my melodic line, very tight gaps. These are very loud harps. I don't know if you heard the solo I was doing earlier. They play pretty musically, and it's gonna, as it plays more, as it breaks in more, it's gonna play a lot louder, a lot more musically. But I charge $90 for one of my harps. They're all made painstakingly by hand. I'm not, you know, forging them or whatever, but I charge $90 for the harp I make. But right now, my wait time, if it's a calming tuning, it's probably going to be somewhere in between 6 months and a year. And you can get a hold of me. You can shoot me an email at bebcorp1@gmail.com or hit me up on Facebook. But yeah, I don't have a lot of free time, so I'm just making harps for people in my list as I come to them in the tunings. But if you want a harp that's untuned or not a common tuning, I can make you a harp a lot faster. But yeah, there will be a wait involved. Hello, Pickby. Pickby wants fed. I got him all hopped up on catnip. But yeah, just get a hold of me if you're interested in the harp. I used to charge $50 for harps, and now I feel they're playing much better, much more musically. Like here's one of my old Ds. Yeah, my harps that I make in the mid-range are going to be the best for like the hillbilly breathing. I make harps that I like, that I can play fast, but right now I'm mainly concentrating on the melodic harps. And I'm not a good melodic player yet, but sold one to Mark Groudon, and he sent me a video, and he said, oh, thank you. And he said he really liked it. He had a video that he made where he compared it to a whole bunch of Manahapa. And anyways, he was able to play it fantastically in the Norwegian style. Now the Norwegian style, the open-close style, I am not good at yet. I'm going to be getting better as time goes on, but I know that these harps are capable of that. But they're very loud, but they're a bear to break in, because the spring steel I use is very tough at first. But you have a period of time where the harp learns you. Every harp you play kind of learns the way you like to play it, because when spring steel is new, especially like this spring steel, right after I make the bends, it doesn't want to flex. It wants to do this amongst the decks. But as you play them over time, it waves more and more, and it springs how you like to spring it. So a harp learns you, and Kovatsenko probably put it best. He said that over time, his harps absorb energy from the player and tune themselves to you. So that's a more spiritual way of saying what I was saying of a harp learning how to flex. I'll just test the noise on them, because my other harps, you heard those older harps, they're not as loud. I'm going to test the loudest harps I got, and no, my harps are not better than theirs. Say, What's a loud one? Petrol is loud. Masco is loud. One more loud harp. Oh yeah, the Niega Oleg, which ridiculously loud. I'll set it about the same distance away. We're gonna give like 60 seconds of play or so, just until I can get them ringing loud. Because a harp, the first 15 seconds of it warming up doesn't play as loud, but once you get a harp moving and a harp ringing, some of them, if you have tight enough gaps and they're set up right, will really ring loud. We'll try the Masco average. All Masco. I've never played a Masco that wasn't loud. It's pretty loud. I played this for people outside, and they're like, wow, that thing is loud. Okay, we're going to play a Petrol. Petrol are pretty loud. They're one of the stiffer reeded Glazerins, and I do like this harp quite a bit. How do I spell petrol? It's P-E-T-R-E-L. P-E-T-R-E-L. And most websites are going to sell it as the Shearwater Hard. That is not what Dmitry Glazerin calls them. As when I was talking to him, I ordered, I'm like, okay, I'd want this harp, this harp, this harp, this harp, and quantities. And I'm like, and this many Shearwater Hard. And he's like, well, what is Shearwater Hard? And I'm like, well, I don't know. So I had to look it up. I'm like, oh, he calls it the Petrol. Shearwater Hard, it just must be a good translation of that. Because I tried translating Petrol, and I'm not sure what it even means. This is the Niega Oleg, maker from Ukraine, quickly becoming one of my favorite makers, especially in the price range. They're expensive, but they're not horribly expensive, and they scream. That is loud. That is a very loud harp. That's the loudest. I don't know if mine can be as loud as that. We'll see here. Let's get in here. I'm having clicking problems here. I would say it took me a while to get it warmed up because this reed is brand new, made today. It does not want to flex at first, but once I got it warmed up, it is a little bit louder than the Niega. I don't know if it's quite as musical, but it is a loud harp. And this harp, if you want to order a harp from me, if you want to be put on my list for this style of a harp, this is going to be a stiff reeded harp. It's on par, it's a little bit stiffer than the Niega are, the Niega Oleg. And if you look them up on the internet, it looks like it's spelled Naya Oleg. That's in Cyrillic, translates to Niega Oleg. I used to think his last name was Oleg, his first name was Niega. I think it's actually the opposite. I think his first name is Oleg, and his last name is Niega. They come with a K on there. They are really cool. I've got him making 16 more harps for the harpery. And I told them how, this is like the third time I'm ordering from him. I told him how fantastically awesome I thought his harps were, and that just to remember me, you know, when he has a long queue, a lot of stores to build for. And then the next order I put in, he raised his prices a little bit, but I'm like, that is absolutely fair because your harps play well above what their price range is. Oh, they are. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Oleg. Oh, right here. And not to be confused with Oleg Shipianov. These are Niega Olegs. Has a circle and a K. You want to make sure if you get one of these from me or from him, you want to be sure when you get done playing it, oil it because they will rust. Yeah, get a drink of water. Yeah, I'm impressed with how the new line is playing. But still a long battle to become. Someday I want to be considered one of the best makers in the world, but that day's not yet. I'm going to have to put a lot of effort and a lot of research and make my harps way more musical. And I think there's a lot better I can do with my harps in the future. But there's a learning curve to everything. I want to play here. Oh yeah, Magnum. And where I was playing my harp to get that loud, that is clear up near the palate because it's a higher harp. It's a G sharp. Play a harp, you'll find a harp's loudest note is where the harp's designed to play at. If it's a bassier harp, you'll get lower at the back of the mouth, in the throat, and mid-range, you'll get more loudness or more volume in the middle. Somebody says, do you still have the Batman? Absolutely. I played the crap out of my Batman. I hope they don't demonetize this for me saying crap. But yeah, and I had a whole bunch of them last week when they came in, and I've sold quite a few of the Batman. But yeah, Batman are a good fast-playing Glaser, and they're not going to be as saturated as like the Star or as fast as an Alpha, but for their price, I do enjoy them. And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like anything that's made by a machine. Like, the frames are cut by CNC, and the reeds, I believe, are all hand-ground. Glaser are just, for what you get for them, I really, really enjoy them. And they're flat stainless, and most of them play really well, especially the expensive Glaser, and just play really well, have good, rich spectrums. They have a robotic sound because they're flat on front and milled out on back. I've never made a harp yet that's a flat fronter, so I've never been able to make a harp that sounds robotic and outer spacey. And what I'm doing is I'm just taking, not applying any breath, I'm taking my tongue and I'm cupping it to the roof of my mouth, just near the front. Pickles, go away. I'll feed you later. He's been fed again. He's just a husky cat who knows when I'm hanging out on like a Friday or Saturday night, he can get an extra bowl or two of food from me. And I got to err on the side of caution because that cat will eat until he throws up. Just with the tongue. Voila, voila. Like if you were to say the word voila, voila, la, 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 la. There's that la, 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 la. But I'm not saying it. Voila. You actually hear I'm kissing the reed with the back of my tongue, just flipping it forward. And that's another reason I like to dull my reed just a tad. I'll get a reed pretty much where it's razor sharp, and then you'll see if you've ever watched my building videos, I'll take it on a stone perpendicular. So he says, I practice lots of tongue and valve techniques. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's very important. And I'll dull the reed slightly. So I want that sharp, razor sharp angle or knife sharp angle, and then I want to take the sharpness off of it, and then I'll strop it on wood. Because if you're building a harp, and none of these harps that I play, they're not going to cut you, but if you go into building and you go ahead and you grind a reed and you leave a burr on it, or you leave it razor sharp and you hit your tongue, you're going to cut your tongue, or you're going to cut the corners of your mouth. So if you go into building, I'm just going to stress, get a razor sharp or knife blade and then make sure you dull it, because you don't want to leave, and especially nothing will cut you worse than a reed with a burr on it. So be sure to strop it and get rid of that reed, or do something, or get rid of that burr on there, because burrs on metal are like a little saw blade and they will cut you very bad. I've actually been cut pretty good doing reeds. When I first started out, I actually did run a reed. It was through this thumb, as I was trying to do a really finely tapering reed, and it was razor sharp. I wasn't paying attention, and it ran in one side of my thumb, and it came back out the other. It hit the bone and just bent right around it, because, yeah, it was just razor sharp on the end, and that smarted. I just told a story about being hurt. I just wish I had somebody in a backward-facing ball cap that'd be like, yeah, cool story, bro. Nice getting scars or whatever. Yeah, you tuned in to watch an idiot at almost midnight on a Friday. This is what you get. There I'm, hey, 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 but I'm not breathing. Hey, 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 but I'm breathing in through my nose. Anyways, it is getting late. Got a few other things I want to get done tonight. I'm going to play this one more time, the Batman. That's somebody's request, which all the Glazerim, even on the lower end, they're good. Like the Wave and the Lighthouse are good to start out on. And they're actually a lot better than toy harps and a lot of other harps. It has been fun. But as you get on upward in the price range, the Glazerim really do play well. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. I'm just rambling again. I like all of you. I love all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. A lot of people have given me such nice compliments. I want to give y'all some compliments. I would not be spending all this time. I think I've got about 5,000 or 6,000 hours in the going on 300, I think 276 or 279 videos I've done. I would not be sinking this type of time into a channel if it wasn't for people like you who tune in and make this a lot of fun, who watch, who commented, who subscribed, and who, especially the people who tune into my live broadcast. I love y'all, and you make this fun. Blah, blah, blah. Porky Miller says, just play a tune. Yeah, so sometimes when I get caught in a ramble, I need somebody to be like, hey, hurry up and let's go. Adios.